Ooh, Miss Stapleton here. Welcome to a short lecture on the different parts of the food chain, or more accurately, food webs. We refer to this elaborate set of relationships in nature as a web, because there are not single links between the different groups. Rather, organisms have many links, or food-based relationships with several different organisms. For example, many different organisms consume the organic material produced by plants, including molds, flies, earthworms, cattle, and humans. The groups making up food webs are producers, consumers, and decomposers. Ooh. We will look more closely at each group, but generally, producers are plants, using nutrients from the soil, water, carbon dioxide, and sunlight to make food or energy that it stores in its tissue. Consumers eat producers and other consumers to obtain energy, and decomposers break down decaying material and waste from consumers and producers, returning needed nutrients to the soil. First, let's see how producers create energy for themselves and other organisms. Plants use a process called photosynthesis to convert water, carbon dioxide, and sunlight into energy. By energy, we mean glucose or sugar. In photosynthesis, sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water are transformed into glucose, which is stored by the plant, and oxygen, which is released into the environment. Both of these molecules are extremely important to consumers who require them in their own metabolic process. The next group in the food web is consumers. There are three basic categories of consumers: primary consumers, or herbivores, secondary consumers, carnivores and omnivores, and tertiary consumers, carnivores eating other carnivores. Consumers must metabolize the glucose stored in plants or other animals to produce energy. The intake of glucose and oxygen produces storable energy, carbon dioxide, and water. Energy is either used immediately to fuel different functions within the organism or stored in consumers' bodies as a compound called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Say that 5 times fast. It should be noted that producers and consumers enjoy a symbiotic relationship, each using the chemicals provided by the other to produce energy. Even carnivores, consuming protein-based foods, are extracting glucose and other forms of stored energy derived from earlier stages of plant consumption. Fascinating. Finally, decomposers use the decaying remains or waste from both producers and consumers to generate energy. They are able to break down the chemical compounds inside plants and animals. They also release carbon dioxide as well as methane. Pardon me. However, decomposers don't always break down organic material. The oil fields trapped under the Earth's surface are made up of plants that did not decompose millions of years ago. Decomposers complete the food web by returning essential molecules, partially carbon, to the soil, where producers can use them to generate energy through photosynthesis. This cycle, seen in the progressive relationships between the different groups of the food web, is referred to as the carbon cycle. Say it again with me. carbon cycle. Carbon, either in the form of carbon dioxide or glucose, is exchanged between the different groups, providing energy for each in the process. When in balance and supported by environmental protection, this cycle assures sustainable energy production and exchange between all the organisms on our planet. I'm tired now. Ooh, producers, consumers, and decomposers. Sing it with me, producers, consumers, and decomposers, part of the carbon cycle. Yeah. I make myself laugh.